On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1981. We're going to be taking a look at Roy Orbison, and he's going to be performing Oh Pretty Woman. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So this isn't going to be a long performance because it's not a long song, and just in case you see Eugene Levy getting dragged across the front of the stage, don't worry about that because this was from SCTV back in the day. So let's get everybody up on screen and see how Roy gets on. And there we have it. The unmistakable voice of Roy Orbison. And when he delivers this vocal, it is so relaxed. I know that we're only in and around E4 here. Maybe the F sharp 4 is the high note of the song. It's around that kind of area pitch-wise for our range singing, but he's just got total control of his voice to the point where his vibrato sounds totally natural. It's always the same, it's so consistent, and it's such a silky smooth tone that he had to his voice. But what I want to point out in this video, just as well as him being an amazing vocalist, is the guitar that we've got going on, but the riff as well. There is so much going on in this riff that you might not appreciate just listening to it, because it's a great riff and you can just listen to it millions of times and you're never going to get tired of it. But it's because of the way that it's been put together. Starting on the low E string, but then resolving itself in A. We will get the guitar out and explain it in a second, but this song, it's one of those that back in the day you had so many songs that started with the chorus or started with the title of the song. So this is called Oh Pretty Woman, and he starts out with Pretty Woman straight out the bat, you know, straight out of the gates or straight off the bat. And the Beatles had a similar kind of thing with Help. The first word you hear is help. I need somebody. Yesterday as well. I don't want to go through loads of song titles, but you just got hit with the chorus instantly, or at least the tagline of the song. Everybody will sing the beginning of the song here when talking about this song and thinking of a potential chorus. But then we go into another section after the chorus, which is different, and you think, well, is this the verse? But then we have another section where it sounds like a bridge, and it's something that a lot of top songs do have in common, especially back from the 60s and the 70s, and especially the Beatles, putting a song together where you weren't really sure what was what, whether you're listening to a chorus or a verse or a bridge, and there were pretty much no rules being followed. They just wrote a song as a story and as a journey so that you're always going somewhere slightly different. But there were places that you revisited. So once you've seen 2 or 3 or 4 sites, you then go back to the sites you've already seen. And some of those sites do get jumbled up, but it is a familiar journey that you're going on the whole time. The quality of this performance as well could lead you to believe that it is lip synced and they're just playing over a backing track. But if you listen to the original record, you'll find that the tempo here is pushed, and that's something that tended to happen live anyway, just for a little bit more energy, and considering people are dancing here, they've just upped that tempo. But you can tell instantly that this is live, and I mean, Roy just made every live performance sound like the record because he was just that good at producing it live. But the band is just totally on it here as well. Listening to the backing vocals, you get an appreciation of how accurate those are. But Roy is just pitch perfect throughout the whole performance with not only his voice, but his fretting on that guitar, playing this riff, which is getting doubled up. But it's something that is a little bit more technical than just strumming out chords and singing. He's playing through this riff the whole time. You've got to have great synchronization between right hand and left hand, making sure you're not fluffing any of these notes going on at the same time as singing. By the way, I do have another video that I did on Roy a few years ago that includes career information, background information, so you can check that out if you want to. I'll stick it at the end of this video in one of those boxes so you can click on that. In that video, by the way, I did mention about Roy not being a technical singer from the standpoint of singing runs and trills and all that kind of stuff, vocal gymnastics. He very much kept it straight, kept it on key. And I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was saying about not being a technical singer in that sense. But technique-wise, if I'm talking about Roy's vocal technique, then he's got to be one of the best singers of all time. And that's not what I was referring to. When I talk about technique singing-wise, that's the balance of air and vocal cords, pitch, all of these different things that go into a great voice. And Roy certainly had that. But being a technical singer, singing lots of notes very, very quickly, is something that Roy didn't do a lot of. But let's jump into the guitar and the riff and maybe some of the chords. I'll show you those very quickly. It's not going to be an instructional video, but what I want to try and put across to you is why this riff works so well and why it makes sense. Not only musically, but to everybody that's going to listen to it. You don't have to have a background in music to get this riff and to understand, or at least feel like it's started and then finished when you get a full stop at the end of the sentence. And sometimes in the song, there's a little part that we go through where we don't get that full stop. It's unresolved, but I'll explain it all as I go. We start with this riff, which is our open E string a couple of times. And it's that kind of thing that we've got going on. The interesting thing here is we're starting with that open E. And then we're skipping over here to our B and then up to our D. We don't need to go through all of the notes. But that little jump that we have, these notes are already setting up the end of the riff. And when they're put back to back, this is like a sentence. And like I said, you don't need to know about music to understand this, that everything that we hear has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and music is a language. So when playing through this riff over and over and over again, it sounds like the sentence hasn't got a full stop, because we're just going. As soon as we get to that last chord, it sounds like we've finished, that's the full stop. And the whole reason that it sounds like that, and it doesn't sound like we've finished that previous part of the riff, is because we're resolving the riff in A. So why does this make sense? Why does it sound like a full stop when we go to the A chord, considering the fact that we've started on an E? And if we hit an E note to begin with, you'd think that your ear is going to resolve this in E. So everything that we're playing, once you hit that E chord, it's going to make sense. So if I take out the first two notes, which is the E and the G sharp, we've got... those are our notes. And if I played through the A major scale, we've got... like that. So... and... we've got all of those notes that are overlapping into that A major scale. So we've got more notes in the A major scale than the E major scale. So it means that when we're playing through this riff, your brain is already figuring it out. Even if you don't know anything about music, when we hit the A, it's going to sound like a full stop. It's going to sound resolved because your brain subconsciously is thinking these notes aren't related to the first two that we've heard. It's going to be... and that makes sense. So just as a quick example, if I play through the E major scale and just went... then it's going to make sense. It sounds like a full stop when I hit those three E major chords at the end. But if I went... and then hit three A's at the end, it's almost like we were going on a journey and then all of a sudden at the end, we had a sudden turn off the path that we were on. It didn't make sense. We kind of went to another location. And that's basically what music is, going on a journey and using chords to take you to different places. And that's exactly what we just had there. But because in the riff, we have a lot of notes from the A major scale, that's why when we go to the A, it sounds like we haven't gone anywhere else, but we were supposed to end there. And it's quite difficult to explain, but it's easy to hear when it makes sense. And everybody's got the ability to hear this, to know that nothing's gone wrong. And this is why a lot of people get lost with more progressive forms of music and jazz, for example, because there are so many changes that you're constantly making very sharp turns with the chords. Whereas here, we're going on a nice straight path. We're getting a clue as to where we're going the whole time because of the notes that are being played, and then we end where we are expecting to. This is the other thing about Roy, and I love the way that in the song, and it's perfectly mirrored with the lyrical content of the song, when he goes... because in the song, he's waiting for her to turn around, and he's telling the story about her turning around and walking back. But because we're not resolving down to even the A, but we're not going back to the E that we've heard before, because we're going... it's almost like waiting, and you're waiting to see what happens musically, where we go, but also what happens in the song. Does she turn around? Does she walk back? So there are so many levels to this. Once you start putting it in with the lyrical content, that it's just a fantastic song the whole way through because of the progression and the journey of the song, but musically, the way that it's been put together. So I'm just going to go through the chords very quickly to show the different sites that we see on the journey, but the different progression that we get. We start with our A into the F sharp minor, A again, F sharp minor, D, seventh, I think, at the top there. We go into the A again. And again, you can call this a chorus or verse, you can call it anything you want. And we go into the same thing again. E. And get ready for this turn that we make on the journey into the D minor, G, C, A minor, D minor, G again, C, and might have a little bit of diminished in there, on just very quickly. Going back up to the D minor, C, A minor, D minor, G, and then a C again, and if you want to, the A, which goes into what would be almost like a bridge now, a middle eight. It's the same thing, two words for the same thing, which sounds totally different to the rest of the song. And then it goes over to, again, the F sharp into the, D major. So A, this was and then we're back into the riff. So you start to get an appreciation of what makes up this song and the fact that it's not a long song, but we've got so many different places that we go. 3 definite sections, but it is like a smooth journey. We don't have any really jarring changes. It's just really nice the way that it flows from one section into the next. There are so many great elements to it. When you then dive into the musicality that's been used in order to get the appreciation of the language of music and what that will do to somebody's mind subconsciously when you add it in with that lyrical content, not putting a full stop at the end of the sentence. It's great to just, sit back, listen to this song and enjoy it, but it's great to look at it in more depth because musically it just makes sense, lyrically it just makes sense, and with Roy's vocal, it just makes sense. So this is why it's such a great song, but why it was just such a monster hit as well, especially when you then have it on a movie and yeah, it just goes into the stratosphere. It's so good you could be mistaken for thinking it was the record that they were lip syncing to, but this is the thing about Roy Orbison. He just had that ability in the studio but live as well. Thank you guys so much for requesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those requests coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!